episode 1 of the Man the Fuck Up podcast with KimmyB
and Lenny. I'm just sticking with Lenny. What else am I going to use?
Can we get a little government? Like,
you know, I don't know. Salt and Pepper Says is one of my favorites.
Who gave you that name?
Come on. Listen.
Salt and Pepper Says.
Salt and Pepper Says.
Like, where does that come from?
It came from my crew that we have our meeting with every Tuesday because I'm the boss.
And you have salt and pepper hair?
Basically. You know, it's the beard, I think, or
the
or the scruff.
Right. So are you calling yourself a silver fox 13 seconds into the first episode of the Man the Fuck Up Now podcast?
No, I'm basically a fucking dinosaur.
All right. We've also had Novotel It All, right?
Novell It All. But you were close.
Novell It All. All right.
Novell It All, but that's just what my friends call me.
But you're...
And they all call me that because they all call me to ask me fucking questions about stupid shit.
Do you think they really think you Novell It All?
I really think they do.
I don't know about that one.
And listen, if it's something that I've done in my life, I know a lot about it.
Okay. Well,
and I've done a lot of shit in my life.
Well, that's the beauty of a podcast. We've got weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to uncover all the shit that Lenny has done, right?
Dig.
There you go. Well, if you don't know what the Man the Fuck Up podcast is all about, let me give you a quick little description. All right. So if you've ever found yourself, wondering what the fuck happened to like the middle of the road, well, you found yourself in the right place. The Man the Fuck Up podcast is a no holds barred, dive right in and try. I emphasize on try, not to get your feelings hurt podcast for the truly unheard population, Lenny, the people in the middle, right?
Yeah, I'd say I'm in the middle.
Would you?
I wrote my name on the fucking ballot.
Well, like I said, we've got weeks and weeks and weeks to dig, right? If you're frustrated with political correctness, we feel you. If you are confused with all the pronoun talk, we got you. If you're over cancel culture, well, you will love the Man the Fuck Up Now squad, all right? And join us for our intentionally controversial and always somewhat offensive, at least to someone, conversations. No topic is off limits, and there is a quick little disclaimer, right? This is an equal opportunity offender kind of show. So pull up your big boy and big girl pants and get ready to...
Man the fuck up.
There you go. Welcome back to the Man the Fuck Up podcast. I am KimmyB.
And Lenny.
And we've got a very special guest with us today, David Benavides. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right, look at that.
One of the few. One of the few.
For me, a.k.a. Temptation Island.
The show, me plus the show, has negative connotations. But if you know how reality TV kind of works, for lack of a better term, then maybe it's not so negative, you know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, is it up there on your resume? Like as list of things you've accomplished in your life, like how high does season 2 of Temptation Island rank on there?
I think it depends on what part of the show you're talking about, because there are very, in my opinion, and again, you only see what you see, right? And I experienced it. There's some really good things that came from the show, like while I was on it, really highs, and then there was some really fucking lows. And you probably saw some. Well, I don't know what you said you're on.
I'm like 7. I'm on episode 7. So when we knew that David was,
I watched the 5 minutes where he had the thing with the 2 bitches. And
yeah, like he watched the highlight clips on YouTube. You know what I mean? And he was
those are dangerous. Those are dangerous.
I'm like, that's pretty much all I saw. Was that
was all you needed to see?
That was it.
He was like, oh, yeah, he can
swing. He's good.
He can for sure be a guest on Man the Fuck Up, for sure. All right.
Oh, man.
So we'll get into your time on Temptation Island and some other things, but we like to start, every episode basically just by asking, when you see Man the Fuck Up, what comes to mind? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. First of all, I don't like when shit is... what's the word I'm looking for? When people try to be politically correct, when people hate when other people cuss. To be honest with you, from my perspective, I've cussed for a very long time. I don't see a problem with it. Just because you cuss doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't mean you don't,
Thank God.
Religious, all this type of stuff, you know?
Because I swear a lot.
No, thank fucking God.
Seriously. Because people think that, someone cusses, they're illiterate or they're not intelligent or all this type of bullshit. And it's like, no. it's just the way people like to communicate. And it really, in my opinion, when you say fuck, that really just means like you're passionate about something.
It's an extra
And this, man, the fuck up means you're passionate about people. Just get your shit together, dude. Especially nowadays, right? With COVID, the way things are governed, like all this stuff, figure it out, you know, and just worry about what you can worry about, which is yourself and your own situation. Don't worry about all that bullshit. To me, that's what man the fuck up means.
Today, Len, we have got some very special guests with us, two fabulous boss-ass females. We've got Stella B, and then we've got Chelsea Davenport. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Thank you. Hi.
So excited to have you. These are like our first like female guests. I'm very excited because,
I think they're our first guest overall.
yeah, I mean, they're just, I guess I'm excited because I'm usually surrounded by so much like,
Testosterone.
yes, so much testosterone and male energy. So it's nice to have a couple of boss ladies here with us today.
So the organization is a first responder organization focused on providing better preventive health care, both mentally and physically, for the first responders population in Florida. So we're going to be doing a lot to work on making improvements there. We already got the ball rolling, so hopefully everything works out and we can get some changes made. So yeah, I've got a lot of family members that are in the military. My brother was a firefighter and a chaplain for his fire department. And even still, I didn't really understand growing up the ultimate sacrifice, all of the things that they sacrifice to do their job, the effects that it has on them, both physically and mentally, until about 7 years ago, when I got introduced to someone who actually had a crisis hotline for first responders. And they started giving me all of these statistics and telling me about all of these things, all the gaps that are there. And my jaw dropped to the floor because in my mind, even though I have these people around me, I thought first responders, they get the best health care.
You
And
would
that
think.
is
You would think.
And that is far, far from the truth. And what I found out, like I said, in the past amount of time that I've been working with the community, I've gone to different departments all over the country, and it's the same story over and over again. The stigma is very heavy when it comes to talking about anything that might be wrong with you.
Yeah. And, I mean, you got to look at the military. These guys go to war. They come back, the PTSD. Our first responders see that on a daily
Every day.
basis. It might not be from war, but they see it.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with it. And they do it for 20 years running
Right.
every day. So
A perfect, I think.
You're either going to be a big dog or you're going to sit on the porch. So which one do you want, Stella? Do you want to be out there running with the big dogs in the pack? Or are you going to be on the porch and stop crying about it, right? So even if you're not on the porch and you're running with them and you're in the back, you're still running with them. Figure it out. Be smart. Be quiet. Be sharp. Get involved. So being in this world with all of these guys and not having a lot of women around. There are some women that are in it, which is really exciting when I get to meet other girls and want to get on the track and do some of the stuff that I love to do. But ultimately, it's like a whole world of experiences and conversations. It's like being a fly on the wall, you know? And because I don't come at it with any other approach other than I'm going to beat you on the track. Please try and beat my time. Or when we rally and go do cool stuff like Tail of the Dragon, I'm not going to use my brakes. You're not going to smell my brakes at the end of these 300 and whatever turns in 11 miles because I know how to use my paddles, baby. It's all about that, RPM and the paddles.
yeah, you're going to smell clutch.
Yeah. No PDKs, no clutch. It's like so different. It's a whole new world. I grew up with a clutch. Most people don't know how to work a clutch anymore. If there's that extra pedal down there, it's like,
What is that?
what is that for?
Does that pop
That's
the
for
jet?
That's the
burnout.
injection.
Is that why isn't the gas tank opening? I don't understand.
So I've come at it with a very considerate approach, and I talk shop, and I don't talk a lot, but I'm there. I'm a happy energy. Like when I see cars, I feel like most girls do with Prada and Chanel. When I see cars, I'm like, how fast can it go? How many horsepower and torque? La, 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 la. What have you done to modify it? Like, what was your last time on the track? Where have you been? Whatever. So I think I catch people off guard. And then all of a sudden, when we have a bit of conversation, it's like, again, it's not a gender thing. It becomes a car thing. I am part of that environment, that energy, that enjoyment. You know, that's the outlet. And so it's been beautiful because through it I've met a lot of beautiful women and girlfriends and wives and even kids on some of the rallies I go on where they bring their family and they throw it in their Cullinan, you know. They're rolling deep in their $500,000 Rolls Royce going 150 with their 10-year-old and their 6-year-old on their iPad in the back. And when we get to the next destination, it's just all a big family. So it's really become such a beautiful thing. I even throw my parents in the back.
Why don't you go ahead and give the Man the Fuck Up audience a little bit of backstory on each of you and what a day in the life is kind of like.
I mean, of course, people that know me know I played professional football, did a lot of TV work. When I retired, I got into marketing, mostly professional athlete. Actually, my first guys I started working with were Jim Brown, Eric Dickerson, Marcus Allen, Jim Brown, and Lawrence Taylor, and Dennis Rodman were my first guys I started working.
Who are I'm 100% joking when I say that.
Those were the first guys I started
Legends.
working with. Kids.
Okay.
We did that for 10 years.
Yeah, All-Star basketball camp in North Miami, JCC.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Found out we work real good together, so we do everything together. You know, John's my guy. Ended up, how I got into the cars, I was actually doing a deal for Ricky Williams for the Miami Dolphins. He wanted a car deal, so I ended up with my PR girl, Valerie. You know Valerie was doing a PR for Warren Henry.
Valerie's the best.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the best. She's like, yeah, I can get you on Warren Henry. So we ended up doing a Range Rover deal with Warren Henry. Gonna find out he didn't have anybody doing his marketing, so I ended up doing marketing for Ricky and for Warren. Dwayne Wade signs with the Heat. I ended up doing his deal with Warren Henry and Range Rover. Coach Shula, Brandon Marshall. I mean, so yeah.
Lenny and Kimmy from the Man the Fuck.
Yes,
Like you want to? I mean, I'm just saying if they're
Well,
Hook us up.
if they're looking for
Hook
more
us up.
people.
And then
Chris Bosh.
we ended up with
Wow.
Chris Bosh.
No wonder everybody drives Range Rovers.
Yeah, so we ended up buying Lamborghini Palm Beach. Was actually our first dealership. And so Warren goes, how are we going to get people, because we're a Dade County company, up to Palm Beach? I said, let's do a cars and coffee. I mean, they're still doing it today, but I'm the one who started that one up there. So when we separate our ways with Palm Beach and ended up getting Lamborghini Broward, again, Warren's like, how are we going to get people out in the Southwest ranches? I don't want to do a cars and coffee because everybody does cars and coffee. Let's do a supercar Saturday. That lasted 6 months, and I grew that, and it's like, well, what are we going to do now? Ended up over at Shops at Pembroke Garden. Now we're the largest monthly car show in South Florida with Supercar Saturday.
Background before I met Floyd was I was doing the housing for NFL players for like over 10 years.
Like, are you talking about like so when they would come down here, if they were traded and they needed to get housing as soon as they
Traded.
got down here, or if this was just where they were drafted to, you were the guy to go to
Not only that, but I don't know if a lot of people know that, but South Florida for off-season training
for sure.
is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So all the agents like Drew Rosenhaus all had his guys down here. So when they come here for off-season training or rehab, or getting ready for the draft,
Or retirement.
or retirement, getting ready for the draft, though, all the players needed to have housing and set up. So I was in charge of setting up all the players. And I did that for 10 years. And I was just like, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. I would get calls at like 3 in the morning. I went out, I lost my keys. I'm like, so I would be like, do I look like a locksmith? I'm like, really, guys?
Like your property manager, like
So I started doing that, and then I was like, that's how I met Floyd, and then I was just like, yeah, I got to do something else, and that's when I started my other company called Drive to Earn, where we have over 600 Uber cars on the street. So I buy cars and I rent them out for those that want to do Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, any type of delivery services. They'll rent through me. We take care of the maintenance, we take care of the insurance, we give them newer cars. So this way they have a car for transportation, and they also have a way to make money.
that's wild. You are putting off what has to get done. You came into today's podcast with some things to get off of your chest.
Yes, I did.
It has to do with pedophilia.
Yes, it does.
Now, I don't see us disagreeing on too much on this topic, but I mean,
No,
go ahead
it's-
and give it a go if you'd like to.
Well, it's the whole canceling of the word pedophilia, which I think is hilarious in general, that someone would even think about canceling the stigmatism of being a pedophile,
Yeah.
you know,
I think we
it's
could give a little backstory on this. Because for some people, they may not know
Correct.
that anybody was crazy enough to try to actually
Yeah.
cancel the word pedophilia to make it, like you just said, less stigmatizing on pedophiles.
yes, or the Catholic Church, whichever comes first.
Really? I'm sorry. Lenny said that, not me. I want no problem. All right, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
So there was a professor in Virginia that was teaching a course and basically alluded to the fact that we should no longer use the term pedophile to describe pedophiles
Yes.
because it's stigmatizing. And according to this professor, it's an unfair, negative stigmatization of somebody because you cannot control who you are attracted to. And the most important thing is not the fact that these people are attracted to children. That's not where they're wrong. It's basically what this person is saying. That's not the quote unquote wrong
Question.
part about this.
Mm.
It's if they act on it. So this professor wanted to call them, what was it?
People, minor attracted
Persons.
person. A minor attracted person.
This professor wanted to use the term minor attracted persons instead of pedophile.
Not really working for me.
Lenny?
I think that's a little, it's just not right. And this is probably where I'm going to lose you in this conversation,
Okay, 'cause
Kimmy,
I agree with you 2,000%.
on this. And I know you do. And I think probably the rest of the entire country would believe it,
Yeah,
except for the pedophiles. They're all
they're
all cheering.
they are.
Hey, take me off that list too.
Yeah.
Oh, I could live in the right neighborhood now.
Today, we have with us our girl, Crystal Teeny. No, that is not just a fancy Instagram name. That is your actual government, God-given family name is Crystal Teeny.
Crystal came across our company Instagram at some point a few years ago. So that's how I had first met or was introduced to Crystal on that thing. And then over the last year and a half, she comes through our feed and I've been following and watching and she's inspiring because she's very healthy and she's very in tune with her body and energy and that's a lot of what what's going on right now is they're you know how I feel about energy. I'm not a God guy. I'm not I'm an energy guy, and they're fucking with that. But so that's kind of how it came. And I noticed recently that she was a little fed up and was like, I'm done with this. I wanted to just stop. And that's when I reached out to her and said, hey, we're doing this podcast. We're trying to find some middle ground and bring some people back to sanity or, it's not even, to me, it's not even about convincing you about what you believe is not normal. It's about being able to sit here and have a conversation with you and not fighting with you. There's no
saying you as a me, or are we talking about you, the collective?
Well, apparently it's the collective.
Okay, the collective. And then also the they, because
I wouldn't point.
I don't know if you both know the same they. When you reference they, I don't know if your they is the same as my they. I just know they is out there, and I would really like to know if somebody can please identify they. I thought DJ Khaled got close at one point, and then he just never really
got the they.
He never really pinpointed who exactly they were.
Well, it depends who you're talking to because they and them could mean a lot of different things in today's day and age.
That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
When you say they, we're not referring to you theys. We're referring to.
We're not referring to our non-binary friends and family. Okay. All right, ManTFUP family, big day here at the ManTFUP podcast. We've got a bona fide Hollywood star sitting in the hot seat, Mr. Isaac C. Singleton Jr. Welcome to the Man Cave, sir.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm having a great time.
I can occasionally, I tried and have done some voiceover stuff for my company.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like a wrestler voice, like, brr.
You gonna
But
have a moment right now?
it's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't carrying that must be a lot of practice and a lot of work and a lot of, to be able to get into a character and stay there throughout a whole read.
Yeah, just fun. And also, there's a lot of games I've gone in and done the characters. They expand the game. So, like, okay, Isaac, we want you to do that character again. Here's a snippet of what you did last time. I'm like, okay. We listen to it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll lock that in and just go from there and do the character again. That's it. The things you'll recognize me from, because I've done a lot of movies with prosthetic makeup on, where you hopefully wouldn't recognize me because I didn't look like that. You hear my voice, but you don't see my face. But probably the first time somebody really saw me in something that was really big was probably in anger management. I was air marshal in there playing with Adam Sandler. I was very thankful for that. I did a few other things after that. I did some stuff for Arliss, HBO.
Good show.
One of my biggest movies was probably Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
One of your biggest, I mean, that's just
I was the second
that old
command in
thing.
The Black Pearl, so, you might recognize him from that. Yeah, I've done stuff since then, too, and one of my favorite things is to be hired by Marvel to do the voice of Thanos for all their cartoons and video games, which I love doing that. Josh Brolin pays for the movies. I do it for everything else, pretty much. I'm very thankful to get that, too, but I've worked for Disney a lot in my career, too, so that's wonderful. Pirates is a Disney movie.
Yep. So, Len, it's just you and I in the man cave today, and there's a lot of great headlines to discuss and things happening in the world. I was feeling away last week about the manufacturing industry in the United States of America and how
It's funny. I saw an episode about clothing on the Pawn Stars.
okay.
Somebody brought in a vintage T-shirt from Nike from like 1982 or something
What
ridiculous.
size was it?
It was a large, and they held it up, and he's like, "This goes to your point
Yes.
too." Held it up, and Chumley's like, "This looks like a medium," and the gentleman who was the T-shirt expert said, "Well, as the American population has gotten larger, they have changed the sizing on clothing to match the
Ever expanding waistline.
fat asses in this
yes.
country."
There it is. See, I can't. I'm just glad that there's a professional out there that can confirm I'm not, in fact, losing my mind, and that we are literally expanding the sizes of clothes to match supersized America.
Yes. And the cookie industry and all of the snack industries have downsized the size of the products. Like, the cookies, my favorite, Chips Ahoy, Dunkin' Milk. They've gone down probably, I don't know, half-inch in diameter from the originals, because they can still sell the same amount in the package and get more money.
You and I are having two very different conversations.
But, it all goes to the sizing of everything.
the sizing of it.
They're making stuff.
The problem is, though, before when
They're giving you less for your money and making you fat.
Yeah, I was going to say, but before maybe people had a little more self-restraint and would only eat one sleeve of the Chips Ahoy, and now every time you sit down,
I limit myself to a
the
sleeve.
whole bag. Like a whole sleeve.
I
A
limit
serving
myself
size
to a
is
sleeve.
2 cookies, by the way.
You buy the cookies, you eat a whole sleeve, and that's it. It's done. You're done. You don't eat them again for a
No,
month.
the problem is maybe
2
you're
months,
done, Lenny,
6
but
months.
other folks are clearly not done
clearly.
at all. And that was one of my issues last week. I was on quite a rampage because a company that I've been buying clothes from for years, and it was always like that's one of the
Is
reasons
that multiple
why
years or 4?
multiple, like 7.
Okay.
Like it's more than just the number 4.
Okay.
Our amazing guest today, Miss Darla Pursley. Darla, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you.
So you came down to sunny, fun South Florida. Well, Sun Fun and the money, right?
Yeah.
And what have you been doing for the past 10 years?
Well, I originally started off dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was dancing for about 6 years, and I actually got injured while I was working.
Mm-hmm.
I got a breast injury, and I only had so much money saved, and I knew that I couldn't live off of that amount forever. So OnlyFans was brought to my attention. So I started the OnlyFans about 4 years ago.
So this is before
I started.
it really
I
blew
started
up. Okay.
before the whole pandemic and before it became kind of like a popular trend.
Normal thing.
Yeah.
Like it was really unheard of to do OnlyFans when I was doing it in the beginning, and but at the time it was a great blessing for me because I was stuck at home, injured, and I really couldn't do much at all. So with having that platform, I was able to work from my phone, from my bed, on bed rest, and still
Support yourself.
Yeah, money to support myself.
Do you feel that people try to take advantage of you though because of the way that you look and because you have such an endearing, open, fair personality?
Yes, quite often.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they clearly are underestimating you, right?
Yes, but I've also done a lot of self-care, self-work, therapy, all of that. So I've gained more confidence, and I can also recognize that much easier now with the work that I've done with myself.
Recently, I came across a meme that one of their folks had posted, and it's a guy that a lot of people know. His name is Charlie Kirk. And basically, it was about college here in the good old US of A. And the meme stated that college has been permanently disrupted in our country. Parents are waking up to the financial scam and moral hazard that colleges pose to America. The cartel is about to break, and it is a great thing for America. Clearly, Mr. Kirk is not a big fan of higher education.
Everyone, but I do think, I think for a lot of kids, it's important as a growing experience. We talked about that. Yeah, I think
medicine.
I think a lot of young kids don't know when they hit high school what they want to do.
No. A lot of kids graduate college and still don't know what they want to do.
And I think a lot of kids don't know all the options that are out there for them. I think, back to this, you don't need college to be successful. 100% true.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
Bill Gates,
but I mean, like I said, I didn't go to college till I was 30 years old. But the bottom line is, if you're not going to go to college, you should kind of have an idea of what, if you're contemplating not going to college to become successful, you really should probably do some kind of self-evaluation to know that you're capable, because not everyone is capable of being a business owner or an entrepreneur or has that energy to do that.
Let them in. I don't let the legacy kids in, but they should have to pay 2 or 3 times as much to foot the bill for the kids that genuinely deserve to go to those schools but can't afford it.
I think part of the scandal is that they're paying to get these kids admitted to these schools because they couldn't make it to that level.
Of course.
But I mean,
But I'm not mad at that.
If the school said, "Hey, we will accept your child if you
foot the bill for somebody else."
Yeah, foot the bill, and that's what happens in a lot of these high schools for sports. College is for the experience. It's for the growing experience. Kids need to have that feeling of completing something and doing something, and penalties if you don't do it correctly. And they don't have that with the social media, and they don't see that. 5 years of the guy just making fucking 20 videos a day before one popped.
Yeah.
They don't see that.
Well, I mean, very special guest today, the one, the only, the comedian extraordinaire, Brittany Brave.
Hello. Hola. Bienvenido. Hi. In New York, I was a comic up there.
Yeah, that didn't age well, did it?
That didn't age well.
That vision board got thrown out.
Yeah, Miss Rona was like, I think not. Maybe back to virtual PR. Because it's baffling to us. Like, I just had it the other night, like on my show on South Beach. There was like a group of moms, and they traveled 14 deep. They got there an hour before the show started. They were dressed up, and I was like, they're either going to be
Were they
amazing.
drinking White Zinfandel? where they drink
Yeah, and
like
like
white Russian.
Moscato. And then we give out free shots at my show. And then they were like, well, what's in the shots? I'm worried about my sugar intake. I'm like, then you shouldn't be drinking, asshole. Like,
it's a skinny margarita shot because if it's
right.
not.
But I saw that and I saw that walk in and they're like, we're here for comedy night. We're so ready. It's like mom's night out. And I was like, they're either going to be amazing or they are going to be a nightmare. And they were a nightmare. They were just like stiff, didn't laugh at anything. And I'm like, you guys can go home. Just like leave. Like it was so bad. Yeah. Because it was like one side of the room was amazing and all the comedians were killing with that side of the crowd. And then they took up the other side and they were just like,
Like,
the
you know what
whole
the deal with
time.
those
Like,
moms
with
are?
painting with a twist next time.
yeah, right? Yeah.
The deal with those moms
Wait a
is
minute.
their husbands are at the strip club.
Oh.
That's the deal with those moms.
Yeah. And,
They're not getting it.
and having sex with everybody but them. But
Yeah.
Or they got a disturbing video on the ring cam. From
do you
House.
know what's so funny? When you say painting and wine, there was a paint and wine class happening at the eatery that I do it at Lincoln Eatery on the beach. It's a monthly show. And it was happening in the eatery in a separate area. And I swear to God, at one point I was like, are you guys sure you got lost on the way to the paint and sip? like
Seriously.
are you sure? Like,
Should have made a left back
should have
there. at
made
the
a
gift
laugh
shop.
back there. But it happens and you just got to meet them where it's all love. Like I see comedians that are mean and do it and it's got to be mean, but it's got to be like, like tough love mean. It's got to come from a place of love.
Well,
Then I
do you
think it's
learn
fair.
from that? Like, did you go home after that and go, the next time I see the mom squad walk in, like I need to be prepared.
Oh, I ripped them apart in the most loving way. And like I even cracked them. I finally got them like nobody else did, but it was also my show so I felt comfortable to do it. But I went in and I just like cracked them and then like two of them got up and left early and I was like I would rather you leave. I made some joke that I was like I would rather tell my mom I need to have an abortion again before trying to make either of you laugh. And then they were like and I was like hasta luego. Like, I was like bye.
This week on Twitter, something popped up basically kind of like on my search feed, and it was somebody had asked, if your grown child, through no fault of their own, needed to move back in with you for a few months, would you let them? And it doesn't mean that they're freeloading, right?
Today with these kids is they feel like they're entitled. I've had this conversation. When I needed more money, I asked my boss for more hours. I didn't ask my boss for more money. I'm like, hey, can we work 50 hours this week? It's and that's really what's going on is we're losing that.
Well, to your point. So again, it was mainly parents that were commenting. Again, if you're, scrolling through this conversation on the ManTFUP podcast, we're talking today about, grown children moving home, which let me tell you is not a rarity.
Some of them never move out, by the way.
No, but there are also some that low key own their parents' homes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like have taken over the mortgage payments. They live in the and you never know that, right? So you're like, oh, this kid lives in. No, he owns his parents' home. And he's kind of not letting them, but you know what I'm
he's
saying?
taking care of his parents.
You never know. There's a lot of different dynamics, but a lot of people got.
We just had it right now. I thought you lived with your mom.
Did you really think
I thought your mom. I literally thought it was your mom's apartment and you moved into it.
No. My mother retired and was like, I'm not going through these snowstorms anymore. Clear out your second bedroom.
As much as we've talked, that's
funny.
That's what I thought.
No. My mom lives with me, and like I said, that was a scary thing when I lost my job. That was a scary thing because there's that pressure that comes where it's like
now you're taking care of somebody.
You're 1,000%, and it was like what? And I don't ever want her to have to this is a time in her life. Like my mother is a worker bee. Like if I got a work ethic, I got it from this is a woman who, has probably had 2 jobs in her whole life. And, one was working for an airline that she loved until that airline went out of business. And it was either move to Houston, if you want to stay with the company or do something else. And she was like, okay, I'm not moving to Houston. And then she worked for my family's business for the next 25 years and was the person that the alarm company would call at 3:00 in the morning and was there 7 days a week. And family businesses are incredible, but that's again, we could do a whole podcast on that dynamic because it is very difficult to work with people that you are related to.
Yes.
Anytime that there's money involved. But, again, when I lost my job.
Okay, I get it. You want to know your self-worth, your value. Don't let people undervalue you.
But what is your value?
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. They don't understand that. They make up their value in their head. It's like I have a car that's worth $5,000, but I think it's worth $15,000. So that's what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fact.
No.
That's not fact. and that's not reality. It's, there's an old saying, it's only worth what someone
Somebody's
will
willing to
buy
pay
it
you
for
for
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with people. Your only value is what someone's willing to pay you for said task.
Yeah.
So if there's 1,000 people out there that'll do it for half of what you will, that's what you're worth. And, and these kids don't understand that.
Yeah.
Because of that whole, it's that empowerment thing, which is damaging to the other end of the spectrum, which is you have to be an adult and you have to learn and you have to climb the ladder. You don't deserve to be at the top rung from day one. You have to earn it.
Recently, I came across a tweet, and basically, people will go there to solicit advice, free advice from their Twitter family. And one of the posts that I saw was basically a person saying that today I have to send my boss an email that states I will no longer participate in monthly meetings held in his office with unvaccinated people, even though they test weekly. Before I send the email, tell me if I sound unreasonable, please. Be honest, I can take it. And this particular tweet ended up with obviously thousands of retweets and replies, and the responses ran the gamut. But I say again, a lot of the conversations I've seen about, workplace dynamic and the pandemic have to do with employees. It's not a whole lot of bosses weighing in. And I'm sure that's for a multitude of reasons. Talking before, remember we said 10 hours versus 40 hours, and if you can get it done. That to me is the bigger problem. Like when you have a workforce, because here's the deal. There's a couple of things that happen when you actually come in. You develop a camaraderie with your coworkers, right? There's a different connection you have when you have personal relationships at your workplace, right? Like it's just you're more, I think, committed and attached. So when you start to frustrate people where that's no longer of value, I'd rather be at home and be able to really, because here's the other thing that's changing. Lots of people want to put more tasks on your plate. We're downsizing. Doesn't mean the amount of work that we're having to do, but we're expecting people to do more tasks. I'm all for that. In fact, we had a VP of our company that once said, listen, if, you're a one-trick pony, like, this ain't the place for you anymore. Like, if you only want to wear one hat, that's cool, but that's not where we're going. Like, you need to be down to learn. You need to be down to expand. You need to be down, to grow and to be able to do more than just what you maybe were initially hired to do 10 years ago. And that's true, I think, of every industry across.
I just don't want it taken advantage of. I'm all for concessions for illnesses, for things, and I think that's important to have some common sense and letting things happen and having concessions for it. I'm not about changing every policy for one fucking person. Just not about it. And I've told you that. And it's again, goes to all that same old shit. One person cannot
dictate
what the masses do. It's not that simple.